if you could see what is in here, I can show you actually. It's disgusting, disgusting. So I've been using this cleaner for my potatoes. It's absolutely disgusting, the stuff that comes off your potatoes. It's a little bit pricey. It is so worth it. I get it on Amazon. Not sponsored, I'll link it below. But these puppies have been sitting in the bath and they're about to go in the oven. Just gonna pour these right onto the silpat, poke them, and they'll go into the oven. The oven right now is at 425, and I actually have it on the roast setting. I discovered that my oven has a roast setting. Forget about it. And I'll put them in for a little less than an hour because these guys are pretty small. I also got me one of these. This is a bathroom scrubber. So I was scrubbing, I scrub my potatoes all the live long day. It's a tough life, but somebody's got to live it. And I was thinking there has to be a more efficient way to do this. So I looked up electric potato scrubber. Did I find anything? No. Did I find this bathroom scrubber? Yes. And I just use it to scrub my potatoes as opposed to scrubbing manually all the live long day. So I have my potatoes in the oven. So I have 3 left from the fridge, but I put more in the oven because these are pretty small and I'll probably have 1 more with this next meal. But I gotta have my veggies with my meal. I'm having my favorite veggies. This is like my holy grail of veggies. Brussels sprouts, zucchini, cauliflower. So in light of it being the holidays, something that a lot of my clients are currently fearful of and working through is falling off track and getting back on track. Falling off track is a very emotionally taxing occurrence for a lot of the clients that I work with. And why is that? Because the occasion, the event seems to be a testament to their character. So they think, I fall off track, I've fallen off track. This means I have no willpower. I can't do this. I don't deserve this. So if falling off track is something that is a very intense emotional experience for you, I want you to dig a little deeper and say, what's that all about? Why is it that I feel so distraught after I fall off track? And it's usually because you are misrepresenting what that means about you as a person. And you usually are tying it to your self-efficacy and whether or not you are able to be successful in the long term. You are worthy of success, and this is something that you ever will achieve. These parts of the cauliflower, I totally eat these. Just gotta wash them first. I do like to break them off before I wash them so that I can really get into every part of the cauliflower. So let's say you do sum up your failure as a testament to who you are as a person. Your failures do not define you. They're not even failures. You know the saying, if you want to double your success rate, you're going to have to double your failure rate as well. You are not defined by these setbacks. Setbacks are a natural and normal part of any journey. And guess what they mean? They mean that you're actually trying. You're actually putting in effort. You're not defined by what happened. You're defined by what happens next. What do you do after the natural setback happens? Do you get right back on track, or do you make it a snowball into more self-sabotage? Think about somebody like Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. Why is he the greatest quarterback of all time? Because of all the Super Bowl rings that he has. He has Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. Well, guess what? He didn't win every game. He's lost Super Bowls. And you don't define Tom Brady by the Super Bowls that he's lost. You define him by what he has won. We are not defined by our failures. We're defined by our triumphs. These perceived quote unquote failures are actually very valuable opportunities to evaluate what your formula for success will be. Okay, so you fell off plan, whatever it was, you fell off track. That is a really valuable window into what your triggers are and what new habits you can put in place and what trigger blocks you can put in place so that this doesn't happen again. And let's say that it does happen again. Let's say that this is a recurring theme. This is something that happens over and over and over again. Does this mean that you're a failure? No. And what we want to do here is manage our expectations about what is this going to look like in the future for you? Is this going to be something that is recurring? And if that is the case, that's okay. Our goal is not to have elimination of the behavior. Our goal then in that case is to have a reduction in the frequency and the intensity of the relapses. Relapse is part of recovery, and it's a natural part of a journey to improving, is to have these relapses happen. Like I said, our goal is not to completely eliminate the behavior. The goal is to reduce the intensity and the frequency of the behavior. A big misunderstanding that people have when they experience a setback is that they are back at square one. I'll often hear people say, I have to start all over again. You know, the holidays are coming up and people say, oh, I regained weight, I fell off plan, I'm quote unquote back at square one. I hear that very often. I'm back at square one. If you're familiar with the stages of change, you'll know that relapse is part of recovery, but also if you're a client of mine, you've seen this graphic before, that this is what we call an upward spiral. So yes, you may have had a relapse, but you're not back at the beginning of the staircase. This does not erase and undo everything that you gained already. I know that embarrassment can be something that accompanies falling off track. I have chopped up my zucchini. I'm going to do my Brussels sprouts next. Depending on the size of the Brussels sprouts, I'll either cut them in half, or sometimes they're Brussels sprouts on steroids and I'll cut them into fourths, but these guys will go in half. This is my micro steamer. I freaking love this thing. Got it on Amazon. It's linked below. All of my go-to Amazon products, the brush is linked on there. This is linked on there. This is linked on there. It's all on Amazon. Again, none of this is sponsored. Be cool if it was though. Embarrassment is a very common emotion experienced when experiencing a setback or having a relapse. Emotions are reactions to thoughts. So when you're experiencing an emotion, which by the way, emotion, energy and motion, meaning that the emotion will not stay forever, it will pass through you. But when you're experiencing an emotion, it's important to ask yourself this phrase: what's this all about? Meaning, what is the thought that this emotion is a reaction to? So you experience embarrassment. We need to ask ourselves, why do I feel embarrassed? You'll say, because I fell off track. Okay. Why do you feel embarrassed that you fell off track? We need to dig deeper here. And you'll say, because I've fallen off track 100 times before. This always happens. I feel like I'm a lost cause. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. This is what we need to work through, because these are self-limiting beliefs that you have the power to change. If I were to ask you, you're having these self-limiting beliefs. If I were to ask you, who told you that? You'd say, well, I told me that. I made it up. And I'll say, okay, so why don't we tell yourself something else? You've just proven to me that if you tell yourself something over and over and over again, you start to believe it. Well, why don't we change what you're telling yourself over and over and over again? Enter affirmations. These are where positive affirmations come from. They come from the idea that through neuroplasticity, which is the ability to change the brain's chemistry and the way that your brain is wired, you can wire in new thoughts. And what better way to supplement those new thoughts than with days and days of success stringed upon one another? So now you're telling yourself you're successful, and you're stringing one day on top of another that you are successful. That is a surefire way to improve your self-efficacy and your self-image. What would you say? Isn't this the worst when the cauliflower, it's a jungle outside the cauliflower, and then you get to the cauliflower and it's the size of your pinky. Again, it's a tough life, but somebody's got to live it. I also like to split the cauliflower from the bottom so that the florets don't get, if you cut the cauliflower from the top, then you have little florets everywhere. But if you split it from the bottom, kind of like a watermelon, you don't get florets everywhere. What would you say to a friend who just fell off track? Let's say that your friend is trying to improve their health, they're trying to eat healthy, and they've quote unquote fallen off track. What would you say to them? Think about it. Your best friend, your daughter, your mother, your niece, your neighbor, your sister, your brother. My guess is that you'd probably be pretty compassionate and supportive, and you'd tell them to get right back on the horse. Why do you treat yourself so differently? Why are you so much harsher on yourself? Well, I'll tell you what my theory is. I think that if we are too kind, quote unquote, too kind on ourselves, then we believe that that means that we don't care about this and we're letting ourselves get away with anything. I think that we play a trick on ourselves when we're very hard on ourselves, because that's our way of saying to our internal audience, I do care about this. See, I'm going to reprimand myself. And that's going to be proof that I really do care. If I'm not hard enough on myself, then will I ever get anywhere? And the answer to that is yes. Well, sure. Being hard on yourself is one way to do it, but it's not the only way to do it. Just because one way works doesn't mean another way doesn't work. And let me ask you this challenging question of, how's it going for you? Is it working being so hard on yourself? If it's not working and it's not enjoyable, let's try a different way to do this. Let's try this through compassion and through love. What would happen if you were nice to yourself? Do you even know the answer to that? You may not even know what the answer to that question is. I don't know how that would turn out. Maybe I wouldn't be successful. Yeah, but maybe you would. And maybe you'd actually enjoy this process a lot more. I really admire when I have a client who, let's say that they do beautifully or they have a really difficult time through our work together. Either way. And then they come back months later and they say, Emmy, I am so embarrassed. I've fallen off track. I can't believe I'm reaching back out. I'm so embarrassed that I have to reach back out. I really, really admire that client. I admire their resilience. I admire their commitment. Commitment does not look like a perfect track record. Absolutely not. Commitment, it may be somebody who has a perfect track record, but it also means it's the person that gets up time and time again and refuses to quit. Life is messy, man. And if we all lived inside of a perfect little vacuum with our perfect little SOS chefs that cooked us everything and we had no problems and life was amazing and rainbows and butterflies, then I probably wouldn't be making this video right now. But that's not the way life is. Life is hard and we deal with loss and grief and job changes and unexpected events and changes with our bodies and circumstances and relationships. A lot goes on in this life and we have to be compassionate with ourselves that our commitment to health and wellness, sometimes as humans, we have limits and we're not able to tap into that as much as we would like to. And we did during times when life was a little bit quieter. The holidays are very vulnerable times. I load this baby up, by the way. The holidays are very vulnerable times for many reasons. Maybe difficult family dynamics, dealing with loss and grief, social pressures. There's a lot that goes on during the holidays, and it's completely understandable for this to be a time when a lot of people fall off plan. I see it happen very often. I have SOS Reboot every single year for my clients in the new year. I run a special every year for my past clients for SOS Reboot so that they can come back and do the program again in the beginning of January. And it's a very popular thing that people do because the holidays are tough and it's natural to fall off plan during that time, and it is not a testament to you and your character. What is a testament to you and your character is what you do after the fact that you get back on. I'm going to fill this up with water, just the bottom here, so you don't want the water to be touching the veggies. Snap this bad boy on. And I put this in the microwave for 15 or 16 minutes. I like it really well cooked. Some people don't like it that way. I do. In 33 minutes, it's 12:27. I have a meeting in 33 minutes and I'm going to put that into the microwave, then go on my meeting, and then it will be ready afterwards. And, don't even get me started about the amount of famous, successful people that had quote unquote failures and setbacks before becoming successful. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. J.K. Rowling, ever heard of her? She was rejected from publisher after publisher before somebody picked up Harry Potter. Walt Disney had company after company that went bankrupt before creating Disney. Elon Musk created something called X.com, and I'm not talking about Twitter. It was called X.com. Ever heard of it? I never heard of it. Well, have you ever heard of PayPal? That's what X.com turned into. So X.com, quote unquote, failed. And what if he said, nah, not for me, not business isn't for me. Clearly, I can't do this. The world would look a lot different. Okay, here's a question for you guys. Do you clean the kitchen before you eat or do you clean the kitchen after you eat? Let me know in the comments. Oh, another great one, the Beatles. I think they wrote a tune or two. Rejected time and time again by label after label. Imagine if they said, singing's not for me. When a baby is learning how to walk, and it takes a few steps, the parents say, yeah, you took 5 or 6 steps, and then the baby falls. Every time the baby falls, the parent doesn't say, I don't know if walking's for you, brother. I mean, you've been falling a lot. So maybe we'll just keep you out crawling for the rest of your life. No. And with every step that the baby takes, you celebrate that and you're excited about that. You watching this video, you are likely way too hard on yourself. Set yourself to expectations that aren't productive or manageable. And I want you to recognize that setbacks are a natural part of any journey. They're nothing to be embarrassed about. They're a part of the growth process, and it's getting you closer and closer to success. So if you've fallen off track recently and you're embarrassed to reach out to me about it, if you're a past client of mine, or if you've never been a client of mine, but you feel as though due to all of your falling off track and all of your setbacks that you'll never be successful, I encourage you to think differently, be more compassionate with yourself, and reach out, because I'm here to support, I'm understanding, and I believe in you. And I believe that setbacks are natural, normal, and I'm going to be by your side to continue this journey. So for the rest of my meal, I put those bad guys in the microwave 15 to 16 minutes because I'm a crazy person. I like them super cooked. I don't like when they're undercooked and crunchy. That's just me. Don't let this scare you. I personally don't season them. You can season them. Do whatever you want to them. Put sauces on them, put salt, put pepper, put spices, go crazy. The potatoes will come out of the oven. Once they've cooled down, I will throw cinnamon on them. And that is my favorite meal on earth. I love that meal so much. I can't even tell you. I like it plain Jane, baby. All right. That's a wrap. I love you, honeys. I'll see you in my next video.